It is Sam Kelly Day, honoring 25 years of encouragement from Sam, of her stories, of her glimpses of her life. Her husband, Carlos, joins us. You know, Carlos used to work here at Spirit 105.3 for a lot of years. And that's where you fell in love with Sam. So I figured for today, as we honor your wife, will you give us a little behind the scenes glimpse? I was here when it happened, but I want to know from your angle, when did you fall in love with our Sam?
Let's see. It's funny. Working at the station at the time, it was funny. We didn't actually work together per se because she always came in really early, and I came in a little bit later in the day and worked with my clients and that kind of a thing. But one thing I remember is that I had a commercial for her to do, and I was like, well, I had this client who wanted us to have a female voice for the commercial. And I wanted it done in a male voice. That sounds weird to say this about fall in love with Sam. But in any event, I wanted it to be in a male voice, but this client was like, no. Play it in a female. I want to have a female announcer do it. And if I don't like it, then I'll go with your suggestion of a male voice. I was like, okay, great. So I remember handing the script to Sam to do the commercial. I didn't give her any instructions, anything. I just because I didn't want her to do a good job or whatever. I was like, okay, this won't be very good. So I just handed it to her and kind of walked away. And so she sent me the spot. I said, okay, I'm just going to send it to the client and see what happens, And I didn't even listen to it or whatnot. So I sent it over to the client. He sends me back this email. He emails that, call me right now. I got to talk to you. Call me right now. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know it's going to be that bad, but we'll see what he says. So he calls me. He's like, oh, my gosh, that's even better than I thought. Oh, my gosh, that's such a great commercial. I was like, oh, really? Really? He's like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, I said, okay, well, let me just play it real quick. And I played it, and I was like, oh, man, he's right. This thing is dynamite. This thing is like the best thing ever. It's like, oh, man. So, that was just an example I remember where I was like, wow, she gets it. She gets it. It's not even a radio thing. It's like this service thing, and she wanted to do a really good job for him to make his business sound good, and she did a great job of it, and he had great results from that,
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was another story I was trying to remember. It came to me, then it left, but
It'll come back.
Yeah, it's funny because it's kind of work-related stuff and this kind of a thing. But
Sam does everything with excellence.
She puts her whole self into it. Every ounce of all of her talent, all of her experience, all of her heart into it, and I think it really shows through. I feel very fortunate. I'm like, man, I don't know how I got her, but there is a God. God is awesome. Oh, I shared this story. I did a sermon at the church one day. And I shared this story. I don't know if if people want to hear it or not, but when I was younger, I had this infatuation with Africa. I was like, oh man, Africa's great. So I was like 18 years old. I said, I told my mother, I'm going to marry a woman from Africa. We call it motherland. I want a woman from the motherland. I told God, I was like, God, I want to marry a woman from motherland, and that's what I really want, this kind of a thing. Well, I did get married once before. That didn't go so well. She was from Florida, which is close, but whatever, And so it's funny because I was dating Sam, and we're kind of getting to know each other, whatever. And she was like, she told me she was born in Africa. I was like, what? I said, wow, God is amazing how he comes through to give you these, these ideas of things you want. You're like, God, please give it to me. And it's like, okay, it's going to be a different package than what you might expect, but it's going to be better than what you can imagine. It's like,
so good.
God is always good. So always. So,
yeah, she was born in Kenya.
She was born in Kenya. Mm-hmm. So dad was working for the government. Yeah.
I remember because my daughter wanted to go to Kenya on a mission trip a couple years ago when she was 17. And I was like, I knew in my heart that the Lord was calling her to go there, but I was having a hard time letting her go. And so, of course, I reached out to Sam because I knew that Sam would encourage me to let go. But Sam goes, I was born in Kenya. You send that girl to Kenya.
Yes.
And I did.
Yeah.
I did because Sam said so. So, okay, Carlos, so you talked a little bit about, her work ethic, Second to none. She does everything with excellence. You talked about getting to know her. Tell us about proposing to Sam. When did you know, okay, I want to marry her. I'm going to propose?
Ooh, wow, that's a good question. So, to be frank with you, I knew from our like second date I
Mm.
wanted to marry her. We had worked together for a while, and we had worked together for 2 years at least before we ever even went out on a date or anything like that. Before we even paid any attention to each other in that respect. And I knew from when I actually had a chance to sit down and talk to her for. So here's what happened. On our first date, we had like a lunch at Canyon's restaurant right there in that Mount Lake Terrace area. It's not there anymore. I think it's Mazatlan. But on the second date, we were supposed to go see Lord of the Rings, the second movie in that series or whatnot. And so Sam is funny because she had she had this way where she's like, I'll just go to the theater. I'm sure we'll have a chance to watch. I'm not going to look at Showtime or buy tickets ahead of time. I'm just going to just pop up and let's do it. I was like, okay, we can do that. So because of her kind of free spiritedness, we get there, but the movie's totally sold out. So we went up to the theater. They're like, nope, we're sold out for the day. No tickets available now or even later in the day. I said, okay. So what that did, it caused us to just walk around. We went down to that was Mount Lake Terrace. We went down to the Edmonds and just walked along the waterfront for about 2.5 hours. So that was our second date. And so we just walked around, and then we went back to the car and talked for another hour. Then we went and walked around the waterfront one more time. And I knew on that day, I was like, wow, I would love to be married to her. I thought that she was just an awesome person. She had a great heart, a great spirit, super funny. And, she likes having fun. So we laugh a lot. We laugh at ourselves a lot, and that's okay. We have an outlook of, we love the world. We love people around us. She's built like that where she just loves on people all the time. And I was like, you know what? This is the person I want to marry. And I didn't know then. She didn't know. It took her another 2+ years to figure it out. But, and so it's funny. I did these promotional cruises back then. And so there was this cruise that was sponsored by Keel Mortgage back in 2004. And we're on this cruise ship, and it's funny, we were on a break, it was like, she wasn't my girlfriend, but even though she worked at the station, but, at this point, I don't know, it was just one of those things you go through or whatnot. But we were on this cruise ship or whatever, and it was a 7-day Alaska cruise, and we weren't there as like boyfriend or girlfriend. I'm working on this, this promotional cruise. She's there as the talent and this kind of a thing. And just talking about life and where we were and that kind of a thing. I think, that's when she said she thought, I was the one she wanted to marry. And so a couple weeks later, we went to visit her parents in Montana, and I proposed to her at her parents' house on the patio outside her parents' house in outside of Missoula, Montana.
Mm.
Yeah, so that was really cool. That was right. It was good to be there. I had a chance to ask her father for her hand in marriage, mm-hmm. kind of the traditional thing. Mm-hmm. And it was funny. He said, I'm surprised you hadn't asked this question a long time ago.
Wow.
Taking guys forever.
Wow. Wow.
I said, well, thank you. Okay. So I guess that means I get the blessing. So yeah. So that worked out really well. So yeah, I just, it was good. It was God's timing.
Did you guys just celebrate 20 years?
We just celebrated 20 years. It's 20 years, 2 months. Well, 20 years and almost 2 months at this point.
Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you. 20 great years. So yeah, celebrated 20-year anniversary.
What?
Celebrated our little Zoe.
What'd you say?
And celebrated our little Zoe, our
your
13-year-old
precious
daughter,
Zoe. Let's talk about Zoe.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Zoe a little bit. Let's talk about the depth and richness that she has added to your lives.
Yes. It's funny. I don't know if anybody's ever prepared to have a kid with special needs, to have a child with, Down syndrome, and we didn't know about it ahead of time, But what I would say is, I think I give Sam a lot of credit for pouring so much love, so much time and attention, so much everything into Zoe. And what's amazing about Zoe is that, like, I guess is the best way I would say it. Zoe always expects good things to happen.
Hmm.
You know, she believes she brings good, and she believes there is good in other people. She is the most amazing person to greet every day because she greets you with her entire heart. You know, every single day, it's like the best day ever because she connects her heart to your heart in every situation. You know, and that's just so special. You know, in our busy lives, and then we feel like we have to have purpose and have to be disciplined and all these other things. But when do we have a chance to have a heart connection? You know, and Zoe is the person who reminds me every day to have a heart connection with someone. And even in a phone call with a client or potential client or a business associate or whatever, you know, get past the stuff and have a heart connection for just 1 minute and see what comes from that, you know. And so, you know, Zoe teaches me that lesson every day to try to have a heart connection with somebody because that's where you really see God, and that's where you see, you know, that connection is how you build faith. That connection is how you feel loved. That connection is where someone says, "I see you," and you see them. And you can be authentic and honest, you know. So that was Zoe. I can't say I would feel that way. I can't say you know, without that example of seeing it every day. I don't think I would be built that way. But I am so much better off having this little girl who just greets you with joy every single day, and she means it. You know, it's not manufactured; it's real. It springs from her spirit, and it just covers everything that you do with her, and every thought you have about her. So I love that, and it wouldn't be that way if it wasn't for Sam as her mom, you know, pouring so much into her and giving her such a strong sense of security and that she's loved and that this world is a good and safe place.
So many
yeah.
of the aspects that you talk about when you talk about Sam and Zoe are literally image-bearing qualities of God. When you talk about joy that springs up and you talk about loving with your whole heart, expecting good things to happen, unconditional love, words of encouragement, just everything you just described of these two women that the Lord has placed in your life, in your home, that look at you. How do you understand the love of God better because you are surrounded by these two image bearers?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, first I'd say it's like, man, maybe I'm the one with special needs. You know, God put such amazing people around me. It's like, dude, you need all the
He's
help
like,
you
this
can
guy
get.
needs a little extra.
Yeah. You know, it's really awesome. You know, I think that, you know, a few years ago, Sam and I said, you know, we know we've been blessed. You know, we know that we've seen God's blessing in our life. And how do we put stuff out there? How can we be conduits for His blessing instead of receivers of His blessing, or in addition to being receivers of His blessing? You know, and I think that life with Sam and with Zoe is how, for me at least, I can be a conduit of blessing, and that to me is where that's cool to be in this part of life. You know, I've been given so much already. You know, I'm so thankful and grateful for where I am. If I can share it in some way, shape, or form, either through example or through, you know, touch points when you touch someone and let someone see that they matter, you know, because to Zoe, everybody matters. And Sam is like that as well. Everybody matters. Your project, she'll treat your project with as much commitment as she'll treat her own project, sometimes more, you know. And that's not something you get every day. You know, that's a rare quality, super rare quality. And she brings that to every situation. And I see it reflected in Zoe where she does the exact same thing, where she puts her whole heart into it. Even if it's just a thank you letter or something like that, you know, she just puts her whole heart into it to be sure that you know that she appreciates you, that you are valuable, that you are seen, that you matter. You know, so I get that every single day at home, which is fantastic, and it equips me to radiate that out more when the opportunity presents itself. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's how I feel about it. Just so blessed and being in a position to be able to move that, carry that forward, and be a blessing versus looking to be blessed all the time. You know.
Yeah, I do. Well, as we wrap it up, first of all, thank you for giving us a behind-the-scenes glimpse, because Sam is the same on air that she is off the air. Her faith is robust. When she says she's going to pray for you, not only does she pray, but she listens on behalf of heaven and lets you know what she hears from the Holy Spirit, which is a gift. And at the end of Sam's life, we will know that she used all of the wax and all of the wick. She just
Yeah.
pours herself out.
Hmm.
And that's what I take from her, is to do everything with excellence and to be just available to what God calls me to do. And so, what would you say to her right now to honor her? We have a lot of listeners honoring her. We have those of us behind the scenes honoring her. But as her husband, what would you say to honor Sam?
I would say thank you for being you, giving me a life, the life we have together that's beyond anything I could have ever imagined. Um, I told her the other day that she's foreign to me. And what I meant by that is that there's no other situation, no other relationship with anybody I've ever had that this is like. This is so special to have this life with her, this relationship with her. She's my best friend. She's my best person. She's everything to me, and she's beyond anything I ever imagined. And I'm so thankful that God would put her on this earth and allow me to spend even a day with her, let alone a lifetime like this. So, thank you, and I love you. That's what I would tell her.
Carlos, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for the phone call. God bless you, and God bless all the listeners and Friends of Spirit and Christian Ministries.
Well, thanks for sharing Sam with us for all these years. And we miss you around here. I hope to see you soon.
Oh, thank you. Hope to see you soon. Thank you.